Celeste Rivas Hernandez was born on September the 7th, 2010, into a world a stark contrast from the one she would later encounter. She lived with her family in Lake Elsinore, a modest community in California's Inland Empire, located roughly 76 miles from the glamour of Los Angeles. She was a familiar face in her neighborhood, having reached 7th grade at the Lakeland Village School, and to those who knew her casually, Celeste was a quiet, sweet presence. Ellie Nadaf, an owner of a local store that she frequented, remembered her as a shy kid who would often stop by for snacks like Takis and soda on her way to the bus stop. A neighbor named Kaylee Cortez easily recalled her because of her distinctive big curly hair and often saw her walking with her backpack on the way to school, and she was obsessed with Hello Kitty. But behind this ordinary facade was a life marked by instability. According to law enforcement sources, she had a troubled home, and an unverified account from someone claiming to be Celeste's ex-boyfriend's mother described something similar. She had alleged that Celeste had admitted to having issues at home and showed up with visible bruises on her arms on multiple occasions that allegedly came from arguments with her mother.
Like, my son would come home and tell me, Celeste would tell him that there was issues at home, and him and other friends would see, marks like bruises on her, and she would say it was from her mom.
Celeste would also regularly talk about wanting to run away.
She would always talk about wanting to run away, but it was initially to get away from her mom. David was never mentioned.
This vulnerability sadly made her the perfect target for a predator. But critical to the timeline, Celeste had only begun running away from her home after she met David Anthony Burke, and the initial point of contact would allegedly be from the world of online gaming. Possibly as early as late 2020, when a 15-year-old David, aspiring to be a professional Fortnite player, changed his username to Chronic Ant, a common tactic to get noticed by the professional teams, in this case, the team named Chronic.
Thanks, Rook. I'm standing outside of Chronic's headquarters where people have already started to line up. They seem to be very eager to get their shot at potentially joining this elite team. I believe
Later, information provided from an alleged Team Chronic teammate, David and Celeste would meet in 2021, going on to say that David was the very person who asked a 10-year-old Celeste to join Discord. This timeline aligns with the creation date of Celeste's Discord account on January the 4th, 2021, and the alleged old teammate would add that everyone on the team would joke about David's relationship with Celeste and just brush it off. However, he later found out that Celeste had been making jokes about David her, which they all chalked up to just a dark sense of humor, with this type of dark humor seemingly common amongst his group of online friends at the time, with one clip on his YouTube channel joking about whether the at the time underage TikTok superstar Charlie D'Amelio was attractive.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead, shoot, man.
Do you think that Charlie D'Amelio was bad?
Anyway, David himself would later confirm the connection and the year that he met Celeste. A TikTok posted by David in 2024 referred to a Hello Kitty girl that he met in 2021, with his own song Leave Her playing in the background, specifically the part of the song that reads, I can't stop falling for her. David's reference to a Hello Kitty girl he met in 2021 is a significant detail, as Celeste's love for Hello Kitty is now well documented, and on one of the occasions she allegedly ran away from home to meet David, she was last seen wearing Hello Kitty sandals. This love for Hello Kitty would creepily become another one of David's obsession, an expression of his love for Celeste that was hidden plain in sight, even in his social media profile pics like on Instagram and TikTok. Now, there's a few things to understand about David before we dive further into his music. He often writes from different perspectives in his music, and he's also a self-proclaimed marketing genius, often publicly trolling or lying to boost his profile and increase engagement.
Was it June 2nd, 2022, you said, I need to convince my parents to keep letting me do music.
Yeah.
Did they want you to stop?
No, that was a lie, bro. So that's a tweet, right?
Yeah, that was a
lie. I just wanted a little bit more engagement, a little more drive from the community, man. I was like, yo, let's spice it up a little bit, bro. Like, let's make it seem like I can't do it anymore. And it's like, they loved it.
You're great at marketing.
Digital marketing, man.
Yeah.
You are the drama. Yes.
So he crafted this story about himself being a homeschooled kid that had never experienced love or heartbreak, and that all songs released in 2021 and 2022 were based on other people's lives.
Because I was just writing these beautiful, beautiful songs, and I was like, my mother was like, where is these lyrics coming from? You're homeschooled. What do you know about love? What do you know about heartbreak? And I was like, you know what I'm saying? I would go on Discord, and I would go on Fortnite, and I would go on like squad fills, and I just let people talk to me and just tell me about their lives.
It's strongly believed that one of those lives just so happened to be Celeste's. But anyway, David's transition from aspiring professional Fortnite gamer to internationally known musician begun in late 2021. David had just lost his YouTube revenue to copyright claims, and his mother suggested he make his own music, so he hopped into his sister's closet and made his debut single, Runaway.
I learned how to use reverb, I learned how to use EQ, I learned how to use compressors, all in that very night. I stayed in that closet maybe 6 hours that day, bro. It was a long day. I was just in there cooked because like there's no AC unit in that closet. I was just sitting there sweating my off, bro. So basically, I'm thinking about lyrics. I'm thinking about the most basic thing I could say at the moment. And all I could think was just saying run away a million different times.
A track that coincidentally connected to Celeste, who herself had a troubled home life and expressed wanting to run away. But as we continue to delve into David's music, there will be too many coincidences to simply ignore. And the songs possibly shed a light on David's own character, him as a jealous, controlling and highly manipulative man, driven by an intense fear of heartbreak or abandonment and a tendency to shift all the blame onto his partner. Something that a recent comment noted on his 2024 track, A House Is Not a Home, writing that in every video he's blaming her, he's mad at her, like she messed it up for them and ruined him. He's a psycho. Anyway, David's debut single, Runaway, starts with a desperate plea for his partner not to leave, singing, please don't run away from me. This is shortly followed by him putting the blame squarely on his partner for not reciprocating his love, singing, what's the issue? What's up with you lately? Said you don't want me, but you're the one I need. Finally, he offers her a dangerous solution, a place to stay, singing, I got a place if you come and stay. An offer that if she accepted, would have made her completely dependent on him, and these sorts of lyrics would start appearing in his tracks more and more. Just a week later, in early 2022, David dropped a track called You and I. He starts by saying, I dream about you and I, painting this perfect picture of them together, but then he immediately undercuts it with a guilt trip, saying, but why do I even try? He again frames his partner as the problem, blaming her for always running away, yet he himself is trying to stay. Later he admits something crucial with the song's next lyrics, singing, you're never near me, you act like you fear me. An interesting lyric for two reasons. It reveals David's overdramatic view of love, something he spoke about in an early 2023 interview on Hey Steph TV.
Life itself, I mean, I look at, movies, I watch a lot of romantic comedies, I watch a lot of movies like TV shows and just different forms of media, and just see different perspectives on love, especially like Korean dramas, especially because it's over.
Oh my god, I love Korean dramas. Oh my god.
I love over dramatized themes of romance because it would never be like this in real life. So it allows you to like have more room to play around. But yeah, just things I've seen.
And if David had indeed been courting an underage girl like Celeste at this time, her initial and obvious reactions to his attempts would of course have been fear. The song then closes with the line, times are changing and my time you're wasting while you're here, essentially dismissing his partner's resistance and hesitation as her wasting his time, while subtly threatening her to make a decision or else things will be over. Now, in a 2023 interview on the Zach Sang Show, David gave credit to Fortnite to allow him to meet new people, specifically adults who served as inspiration for his music.
Like with Fortnite, I remember I found so many cool people just from that game I would have never met like in real life. So the ability to meet new people and see like how other people think outside of people my age, because everybody I met online was like older, and it was like these adults and like these teenagers and people that were going through different situations, and they would just vent to you on the game.
But his music seemed to be more inspired by his own lack of relationship experience or the emotionally turbulent experiences he had of teenage love. And not long after You and I, he released the song 11 PM, which was all about showing up at your romantic interest's door at 11 PM to fix your relationship problems. He again blames her for the relationship problems with the line, we all make mistakes and I won't hold it against you. And he continues by accusing her of faking her love for him, and in a slight hint of what is to come from his future projects, he issues an ominous threat, singing, you think you can just play me like all of your friends do, I won't let you. This song in particular marked a shift in David's artistic expression, as his next tracks begun to expose a truly startling side of his inner mind that included a preoccupation with blood, violence, romance, and death. Yet this shift didn't come from nowhere, and according to David's own admission found in leaks from his private Discord, this obsession had begun on dark corners of the internet at age 14 when he watched a cartel video. And while a morbid curiosity can be a passing phase for some, for David it became an addiction. He admitted to consuming so much graphic content on shock websites like LiveLeak that he had become completely desensitized, even laughing at scenes of extreme violence. This addiction then seeped into his creative life, and he told fans on Discord that he enjoyed writing gory psychological dramas and anything about death. This interesting gore interestingly matches up with the alleged old team allegation that David would often share gore pics. But most disturbingly, David wrote that gore videos were better than, a comment that shocked others in the chat and led to jokes about himself to videos. So the song Bleed Out was the moment where this private obsession was first broadcast to the world, setting a worrying precedent for the themes to follow. The song opens with a scene of David being left by his significant other who promised they would be back soon. He frames the emotional damage of his partner leaving as a physical attack as he sings, you've got blood on your sleeves, the pieces you cut from me, I bleed out, pain and suffering, I'll take now. He then paranoidly accuses his partner of lying to him the whole time, before chillingly adding that this breakup will result in one of their deaths. Later he uses the line, you're the only one that lies lies here as a grim double meaning to suggest she's a liar and also the one who dies. He then sings Too Much on Your Mind and But You Can't Leave the Past Behind, framing her inability to completely abandon her old life as the cause of their falling out. While we can't say definitively that these lyrics are about Celeste, the context creates a disturbing parallel. For an 11-year-old girl, leaving the past behind would mean cutting ties with her family, her friends, and her entire childhood. And in the song, which wouldn't be the last, David kills his partner instead of letting her leave for the same deranged reasons. These connections between David's music and Celeste's life continue to grow as his discography did, and almost a month after Bleed Out, on March the 28th, David releases the track Decide, a song that on the surface was about uncertainty in a relationship. However, the most notable lyric on the track that immediately attracted people's attention read, "Save your tears, 7 years. I know that life is complicated, you don't have to say no more, don't know if I'm going to make it, we both have to find a way to work it out." This later turned out to be another disturbing coincidence that linked David to Celeste, because at the time of release, Celeste would have been 11 years old, and 7 years was chillingly the exact number of years that it would have taken for her to turn 18, the legal age of consent in California. On his next track, More Than Just Friends, he sang about his partner ending up dead for not being honest and loyal. Alongside the usual blaming, jealousy, and guilt trips, David's next few months of releases returned to its much darker tone, in a dangerous progression of his music's narrative from a desire to control to a desire to kill. And while David would explain this away as simple artistic expression, many would later wonder if these fantasies were made reality.
The storytelling aspect of the lyrics that came before it, in a way that it builds up to the big moment where she died in the back of my mind. Like, I didn't kill her physically, but in the back of my mind, she died.
And the medium that he would use to broadcast his deepest and darkest desires to the world would be an alter ego named Itami. Now, alter egos are a well-established tradition in music, from Nicki Minaj with her deranged alter ego with a different accent, Roman Zelensky, to Drake's zesty promotional gambling alter ego, Anita Max Wien.
This is my alter ego, Anita Max Wien.
And most notably, Eminem's infamous alter ego Slim Shady, whose lyrics frequently involve death and violence. However, when Eminem rapped about locking his pregnant girlfriend in the trunk of a car and driving it off a bridge, no one actually ended up dead in the Detroit River. Now, as discussed earlier, David described Itami as his evil side, a dark half who would commit crimes that he would have to solve.
That character that's in the music videos I make now was actually an idea that I had years before music even started, when I was writing my first comic book. And it was this detective that would solve his own crime. So he was the good guy by day, and then at night he'd kind of transform into this alter ego and then commit crimes he'd solve the morning of. So I brought that idea into music. I kind of want to expand on that.
And in April 2022, David first introduced this iteration of Itami to the world in the lyrics of his song Dirty Secrets, the music video casting David in a Sherlock Holmes-style coat that bears a strong resemblance to the one worn by the detective in the kabuki show Sherlock anime, visually becoming the detective hunting down his own dark half. But the most critical clue to the song's true meaning came from David himself. When asked who Dirty Secrets was about, he revealed he was talking to himself.
Who are you talking to in that song?
Myself. Have you watched the music video?
For which one?
Dirty Secrets.
I
The
see.
blindfold character. So this blindfold character is literally going through my music videos, attacking all my insecurities. So like, I'm hiding something in Dirty Secrets. It'll come expose me. And here with me, nothing happened because I was happy in that song.
And that the song was about other people finding out his secrets.
It was just like that they knew what I was hiding, and other people knew what I was hiding, etc., etc.
This admission transforms his lyrics from a story into a confession. The opening lines, "I know the dirty secrets that you keep, I'll figure it out like I always do," is David's conscience threatening to expose the secrets of his own alter ego, Itami. The next line, "I saw you with someone when you told me you were alone," suggests that the dirty secret is a hidden relationship, that hidden relationship potentially being his relationship with the underage Celeste. The video's final scene delivers a haunting conclusion to this internal battle, as Itami is shown holding David's belongings while David himself has vanished. In other words, the dark alter ego has won, the detective is gone, and the monster has taken his place. Itami would make an appearance in Romantic Homicide, the song that launched David's career. Released July the 20th, 2022, the bedroom pop ballad, also recorded in his sister's closet, went viral on TikTok, but beneath its success lay a dark and violent fantasy with horrific prophetic imagery, and the music video would bring his dark vision to life. David has always explained his music videos and his character Itami as being inspired by the dark dramatic styles of film noir and anime. Think of Itami's blood-soaked shirt as the most obvious part of the character, and a clear visual sign that something violent has happened, as if he's just committed a murder. These are bloodstains from the metaphorical murder of a relationship, or in other instances it's the murder of David's romantic interest. But when it comes to Itami's blindfold, he offers a different explanation. On one hand, he's offered a simple reason, suggesting that the blindfold means love is blind. However, he's also given a much darker rationale, stating that Itami wears it to specifically avoid being held accountable for the pain that he causes. The artist Santi P, who knew him just before his rise, confirmed that David was constantly posting about religion and God.
So, me and him, we did business. During his BandLab days, he had a whole group chat with all of us, and he gave us like all his BandLab presets, and I used to talk to him all the time. He was all about God, real Christian. That's all he would post about all the time, and he'd thank God. And,
yet as his fame grew, his public focus on faith seemed to fade.
you know, he got signed, and then after he was signed, he kind of just drifted away from it.
This shift seemingly closely coincided with the violent blindfolded Itami taking a prominent role in his music. In a biblical context, a blindfold symbolizes spiritual blindness, a willful ignorance of divine truth, and a state of sin. So for someone with David's upbringing, creating a character defined by a blindfold is profoundly symbolic and suggests a conscious choice to turn a blind eye to morality. However, most disturbing of all is how this fictional alter ego, designed to evade accountability, became intrinsically tied to his very real relationship with the underage Celeste. David said the blindfold on his character Itami meant love is blind, a phrase about overlooking someone's bad habits or quirks, or perhaps their inconvenient age. And this symbolism would be center stage when on September the 7th, 2022, David released a music video for the song Romantic Homicide. The music video opens on a stormy night with David's character Itami dragging a suitcase down a sidewalk, before switching to show him lying blindfolded on the wet ground while having flashbacks of a woman and a violent event. Then the narrative takes a sinister turn as a woman in a blood-stained white dress appears haunting the scenes like a ghost, which then cuts to a scene of them lying motionless on a blood-streaked bed. Later, the suitcase is revealed to have been filled with knives and a bloodied white rose drops to the ground. David later explained that the white rose was a symbol of heartbreak.
I chose the white rose because red roses are like symbolisms of like romance. Yeah. But when you drain a rose and it becomes pale, it's like you took the love out of it. So when I made Romantic Homicide, I made sure that I picked the white rose because the love was gone.
However, traditionally, a white rose is also tied to symbols of purity or virginity, and many have suggested that David's use of a white rose might actually symbolize Celeste herself. The song's lyrics would match the violent imagery, with David singing, "In the back of my mind, I killed you, and I didn't even regret it," a lyric that he tried his best to clarify was just a metaphor for ending a relationship.
So what inspired the hook, "In the back of my mind you died," is kind of like the storytelling aspect of the lyrics that came before it, in a way that it builds up to the big moment where she died in the back of my mind. Like, I didn't kill her physically, but in the back of my mind, she died. And I killed her in the back of my mind. It's really more of a figurative "I killed you," especially in the back of my mind. I try to stress that in the back of my mind. That's why I say it so loud. In the back of my mind, you died. In the back of my mind, I killed you. So it's all in the mind, because that's the most secure place you can be, is in your mind.
With recent comments all pointing out how strange it was that David kept emphasizing that specific part. People have even compared it to YNW Melly's own genius explanation.
Murderer. I murdered a, and I murdered a beat. I am not no human murderer.
For his song Murder on My Mind that looked very suspicious after he ended up being accused of murdering two of his childhood friends. David later explained that Romantic Homicide had no personal inspiration behind it, and that it was simply a fantasy of a homeschooled child.
So, yeah, man, Romantic Homicide was just like, I wanted to feel what the other kids were feeling. Like, everybody I knew, well, in middle school that I didn't talk to anymore, everybody had relationships. I didn't have a relationship. I wanted to do that. I wanted to be involved in this or have a heartbreak for myself. So I kind of just like made up these scenarios of myself getting heartbroken and being in love and stuff like that. And I would write songs about things that never happened. And that would just become my life.
Now it's all happening.
4 years, man. Yeah.
But allegedly, that would be far from the truth. The streamer XQC would seemingly figure out on live that Romantic Homicide had been released on Celeste's birthday.
Omi, I'm not tweaking it. Look, it's the same date though. Okay.
In addition to that, David had used an actress in the video that resembled Celeste.
Oh! Saying that he used a person that isn't the person, but looks like the person. Which makes a lot of sense though.
And as David later explained, in his fictional universe, this woman was Itami's first victim.
But Itami was the staple of this music video. You kind of see him throughout the entire thing. He's holding the knife with the bloody thing. You get the girl who's basically like the ghost of the person that he killed. Was his first victim in the manga.
David's next song that eventually became a major hit was the track Here With Me. David gave credit to the Disney movie Up as serving as the song's inspiration.
I was watching the Disney movie Up, and I got really inspired by Carl and Ellie's kind of relationship and their story, and how Ellie dies and Carl has to go to Paradise Falls by himself. I got inspired by that, and I was like, okay, what if I wrote about their relationship, but at least stayed alive.
However, the release of the music video pointed towards an alternative muse. Again, a similar looking actress was chosen that seemed to resemble Celeste, something that recent comments are calling crazy work, while others pointed to particular lyrics in the song that read, "And if it's right, I don't care how long it takes," with speculation that David was talking about not caring how long it would take for her to turn 18. And although the track was considered by many to be an endearing love song about wanting to spend your life with someone you love while doing everything you can to keep them around, the music video maintained David's characteristically dark energy. Here With Me opens up with David's character Itami staggering along a beach, then the video continuously intercuts between Itami and regular David and the Celeste lookalike on that beach. As the video goes on, the characters age. It would slowly be revealed to the viewer that the footage of the couple growing old together were just an idealized illusion, and later on it would be revealed that the relationship actually ended after the girl went through David's phone, leaving him to grow old alone on the bench. What begun as a simple solution to getting around YouTube's copyright system rapidly escalated into a meteoric rise to fame for David. Initially released on SoundCloud, both Romantic Homicide and Here With Me became viral hits almost overnight, which led to their official re-release on all major streaming services in September 2022. The charts quickly reflected this explosive popularity as Romantic Homicide skyrocketed to a stunning peak at number 33 on the Billboard Hot 100. Meanwhile, its counterpart Here With Me also secured a formidable chart position, landing at number 60. Both amassed millions of streams, with Romantic Homicide in particular reaching number 2 on Spotify's daily top songs, firmly establishing the young artist as a sudden and undeniable force in the music industry. This success was so dramatic that the NME hailed David as a multi-genre visionary who had masterfully turned TikTok attention into a major chart success. David and his family started receiving emails from major record labels, which his parents initially dismissed as scams until they got flown out to Los Angeles. And just like that, the homeschooled Fortnite streamer, who had been crafting music for less than a year on his iPhone in his sister's closet, had signed a multi-million-dollar record deal with Darkroom and Interscope Records, placing him alongside label mates like legendary artists Eminem, Lady Gaga, Billie Eilish, and Kendrick Lamar. And TMZ later reported that the contract guaranteed the 17-year-old artist an advance of $3 million. But behind the scenes, events were being set in motion that would ultimately lead to his downfall and the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Just the previous month in August, David had been on social media asking for help to create his own Discord server, building the very community where his alleged interactions with minors would play out. Towards the end of the month of August, an alleged screenshot from their private messages showed Celeste telling David that she wouldn't be able to attend one of his performances due to her parents, to which he simply replied, "I'll fix it." The situation escalated on October the 24th, 2022, when David and Celeste had their first publicly known interaction, allegedly on David's Discord channel. At this point in time, she'd have been just 12 years old, and he 17. Up until now, Celeste had remained home in Lake Elsinore, California, while David was based in Houston, Texas. But the record deal changed everything, giving him the financial freedom and resources to travel extensively. The fact that his new professional base, Los Angeles, was located just 76 miles from her home in Lake Elsinore is a critical detail. With the geographical barrier reducing, they would reportedly begin making plans to meet in person, moving their relationship from the digital world of discourse to a dangerous new reality. In February 2023, just before his 18th birthday, David embarked on a tour that would take him from Houston to major cities around the world like Los Angeles, London, and Paris. Upon arriving in LA on February the 20th, he made a critical announcement to his Discord server, revealing his plans to move there permanently by April, a move that would finally erase the physical distance between him and then 12-year-old Celeste. And during this same chat, he asked his followers to find him a girl before he settled in, which prompted a response from a user later identified as Celeste, who simply stated, "He's mine." Celeste then shared an image from her and David's private Snapchat of David flaunting a thick wad of cash with the caption, "Don't mess with me, I swear I can buy you." Then just 4 days later, on February the 24th, the newly signed Interscope artist would officially introduce his dark alter ego to the world, announcing the character Itami to his fans. It turns out the September 2025 Discord leaks about David and Celeste were just the tip of the iceberg. Other leaks revealed a much bigger and more disturbing pattern. Inside his private Discord server, people were openly talking about his behavior. What begun as whispers within his own Discord server soon became open discussions, with users joking about how David only seemed to text 15-year-old girls. This pattern wasn't confined to a single month or a single person either, as screenshots reveal that this was a repeated topic of conversation throughout the year, with some even alleging that his producer had similar interests. There were also screenshots of him allegedly e-dating a 14-year-old girl in April. Then, after the news about Celeste broke in 2025, other young girls came forward with their own stories. One Redditor shared alleged Instagram messages from January 2023, claiming that David had messaged her when she was well under 18, and she further recalled seeing messages from one of David's friends in a group chat that stated, "All David follows is teen girls." Perhaps the most damning piece of evidence, however, was a series of text messages from June that year in which David himself allegedly broke up with a girl because he couldn't be in a long-distance relationship with someone who, quote, still had 2 years of high school, indicating she was about 16 years old. Most tellingly, he wrote that any public relationship would have to be kept a secret, which was a clear admission that he knew his actions were inappropriate. This all occurred against the backdrop of David's meteoric success and his growing documented obsession with Celeste, and while his private Discord chats revealed a pattern of pursuing underage girls, his public music became a canvas for what he described as a delusional relationship.
Because it feels like the beginning of a dream. I like the whole premise of the project's like a delusional relationship. Like you are delusional throughout the whole thing.
Likewise, his references to Celeste became increasingly obvious in the lead up to his EP, Petals to Thorns, where he further developed the disturbing artistic concepts that he had introduced in the previous year and increasingly blurred the lines between his troubling private life and his dark public art. According to David, the core idea behind Petals to Thorns was a delusional relationship, which he described as the kind of intense love and heartbreak that you feel for someone, even though the entire experience was ultimately just in your head. He chose the white rose as his central metaphor, explaining that it was a flower that appears beautiful at first glance, but the moment you try and pick it up, its thorns stab you. And as David explained during his Rap Genius explanation of romantic homicide, different people interpreted his music in different ways.
I've seen people online take different meanings and interpretations from that one part of the song where it's like it's their past selves that's dying. And they're not even crying about it because they're evolved or become better people or have killed addictions and other different stuff like that. So I think it's very powerful in that way too.
This artistic vision was unveiled to a dark and creepy trailer back in April 2023, where David introduced his audience to a deeply disturbing interpretation of the white rose. He narrated that the white rose, universally known as a symbol of purity, loyalty, and romance, was visually appealing to him because it resembled a dead body, specifically one that had been drained of all of its blood, making it pale and lifeless. He warned that this misleading beauty was dangerous, however, because reaching for it would result in being stabbed by its thorns. He then introduced a separate part of himself, his alter ego, who actively indulges in these thorns, dousing himself in the blood of his own negligence.
Or should I say a separate part of me, indulges himself in the thorns, dousing himself in the blood of his own negligence, without even vetting the misleading beauty.
This character that we now know as Itami wears a blindfold specifically to escape what David called his self-made hell, making him accountable only to pain. David promised that these dark pieces of himself were woven throughout the entire project, inviting listeners to follow his journey, petal by petal, until the rose fell short and he had no choice but to catch it by the thorns. While it was an interesting artistic concept at the time, the trailer ultimately introduced dark themes that would later be re-examined after the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Now, in describing the symbolism of the white rose, David suspiciously left out two things, namely, white roses are considered a symbol of young love, but even more commonly, a symbol of innocence and virginity, and hauntingly, they're also a common flower used for children's. Some believe that the white rose in David's music is representative of Celeste and her innocence, and in this context, the thorns may represent the inevitable damage that his forbidden and illegal relationship would cause to him if exposed to the public. So to navigate this danger, he created his alter ego Itami, a character who is deliberately blind to the evil he does and is completely unconcerned with the harm he causes. The unsettling moment in the trailer where he covers the rose in blood and violently squeezes it plays out as a visual metaphor for the destruction of Celeste's innocence or virginity, and in turn the destruction of Celeste herself. This leaves the final words where the petals of a rose fall and it dies as an eerie prediction of the upcoming events. And as David later explained in an interview done a month before Celeste's body was discovered, he had the tendency to write things into existence.
And I was writing songs preemptively. I was like writing all these heartbreak and breakup songs before I even entered my first relationship. And then once that actually happened, I was like, oh my gosh, I kind of spoke the heartbreak into existence, kind of, you know? So yeah, my relationship with love as an emotion is really complicated because I started to expect certain things before they would happen, almost like I was wishing for it.
Anyway, the Petals to Thorns EP was released on May the 26th, 2023, and we are immediately introduced to David's seemingly delusional world through the music video of his song titled Sleep Well, showing David in a dreamlike romance where he lays on the floor next to a girl who again looks like Celeste, with one lyric in particular garnering the most attention as David sings, "Who's to say that our love isn't real?" To which one commenter responded by saying that the law certainly can. But the worst was yet to come with what was arguably the project's most confessional track, Backstreet Girl, where David sings about loving someone way too soon, followed followed by saying, "I don't want to wait too long for someone to love you before I do." And if these allegations turn out to be true, it's disgusting to think that his justification for pursuing a 13-year-old girl is that someone else might get to date her on the way to turning 18. The narrative then builds on him telling the Backstreet Girl to put her hands to the sky and say goodbye, as if saying goodbye to her old life. The message continues as he positions himself as her savior from the past, where she was drunk and hurt. With what we know now, Backstreet Girl, like much of David's catalogue, reads like a step-by-step account of a predator grooming a vulnerable child. However, fans at the time of its release were no wiser, and while the EP did initially make it onto the Billboard 100, it experienced a grim resurgence following Celeste's death in September 2025, when it peaked at number 51 on the Billboard 100. By May 2023, David had embarked on a 3-month world tour that began in Manchester and concluded in Los Angeles, and he continued growing his fan base, scheduling another tour to various countries throughout November and December, a busy travel schedule, potentially the only thing keeping him away from Celeste. But as mentioned before, in a text that he allegedly sent to an underage high schooler in Houston, David was looking for a girl that could travel with him, and the 18-year-old artist seemed to extend the same request to 13-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez on the song Notes from the Wrist, the first track of his September 2023 sophomore EP Lost Petals, in which the song features a deeply unsettling dialogue where David shifts between his own perspective and that of his partner. He opens by threatening to end the relationship, singing, "I didn't want to have to break it off, but you got my back up against the wall." He then directly pleads with her to run away from home again, a line that strongly implies that she had done so for him before. This is followed by the even more disturbing request to run away from your loving arms, which many interpret as urging her to abandon the safety of her own family. The perspective then shifts as he tries to vocalize her inner doubts, asking, "Why am I so afraid? I don't care. I'm not coming home. Why am I crying if this is what I wanted all along?" This imagined fear becomes more specific when he continues from her viewpoint, saying, "Why am I so afraid of you? Your stare makes me so uncomfortable." The dialogue ends with him pleading once more for her to run away, only to be met with a defeated response from her perspective, saying, "I've tried." And this theme was not confined to just the audio of the song, as the music video for Notes from the Wrist features a young curly-haired actress who once again bore a striking resemblance to Celeste. Likewise, the animated video for the EP's third track, Rehab, also raised some alarms, because during a scene in the music video, just as David sings the lyrics, "I'm on a different level again, she fell in love with the devil again," his violent alter ego Itami is seen slicing off the curly-haired girl's arm before killing her. In the wake of Celeste's death, viewers have flooded this video with comments, one noting that David's discography is a whole murder manifesto, and another asserting that every single song, even his tour, was built around his obsession with murdering a poor girl, and a third pointing to the graphic dismemberment in the video as a grim foreshadowing. And by the end of 2023, following the conclusion of his Asian music tour, David was back in LA, where evidence suggests that the 18-year-old David finally got what he wanted, 13-year-old Celeste in his arms. In December 2023, David would do several short, late-night live streams on Twitch, including on the 11th and the 12th. After these streams, fans on David's Discord would begin to talk, with one user asking the chat if David had a girlfriend for the first time, while another user would reply by confirming it, before also saying how the girlfriend looked so pretty. The original user then responded by asking if it had been her on the stream, to which the other user would once again reply by confirming, while adding that she had kissed David at the beginning of the second stream. One user would chime in to ask if it had been the music video girl, but the user who had seen the stream would respond no, before for some reason adding that the music video girl was like 20 something. Another user would also note how the stream recording had been deleted because David had supposedly said the N-word with a hard R. Nevertheless, screenshots of these streams would seemingly find their way onto the internet, and one fan would even seemingly post a screenshot to David's Discord asking who the girl was with him, to which David himself would decide to respond by calling the fan a Fed, which could be taken as David simply making a joke about the fan being nosy about his relationship status. But knowing the alleged true context now, this comment can certainly be understood much more sinisterly as David hinting that his relationship, actually quite literally, might not be legal. Also in December, David would seemingly record an entire song dedicated to Celeste, which would eventually be leaked online. In the song, David professes his love for Celeste, singing how he's obsessed with her, but also afraid that their relationship is only physical, and saying that he misses her so much that it makes him depressed. Starting the new year in January 2024, David would again hop on a late night, early morning live stream with a girl who appears to be Celeste, but this time there would even be recordings of this stream that would eventually be posted online. Around the same time, some legal files concerning Jeffrey Epstein and people close to him had just been made public, and although it's not entirely clear from the clips why the conversation amongst the fans goes to Epstein, they begin to seemingly joke about David's Epstein connections, which gets him to react.
We need to delete this. Maz, can we delete all VODs? And then as soon as the stream ends, delete the stream too? Can we delete everything? You done for, bro? Y'all are not done? Now you gonna wait.
Oh, look it. Answer that one. That's so mean if you don't answer
Which one? What's good, David? Big fan, big family. Bro, thank you, Mitochondria.
I gotta stop with him if you even.
Then in another clip, we can see David scolding the girl who looks a lot like Celeste as he tells her how he media trained her and that she shouldn't be talking about stuff that's controversial, to which Celeste responds by saying, or asking, if it's controversial to be kids, before she suddenly bursts out laughing, perhaps due to realizing that those words together are controversial on streaming platforms in general, or on a much more twisted note, because she perhaps also realizes the obvious parallels between Epstein and her relationship with David.
I media trained you.
No, you didn't.
That's controversial.
It's controversial of kids.
In any case, David then mutes the stream for a moment before they both say that they're ending the stream, as David adds instructions for the moderators to delete everything about the stream.
Really good.
Okay,
It's been a good one. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Mwah, 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 mwah. Oh my. Delete everything. Delete everything. Everything goes. Everything.
The following month, on the 8th of February, David released the song Leave Her, where he sings about being crazy for a woman, but still ending up leaving her. But in real life, this was seemingly not the case, because only a week later, on February the 15th, Celeste was reported missing by her family on Facebook after last being seen the previous day. Interestingly, the 14th was also Valentine's Day, and it just so happened that David would also sing in his unreleased song dedicated to Celeste about asking her to be his Valentine. The search for Celeste would continue throughout late February, with people from her family posting about her on Facebook almost daily, until on the 20th of February, someone close to the family would post how she had been found safe and returned home. Only about a week later, on the 26th of February, David would post a meme on TikTok of him pointing to the camera while the new song Leave Her plays, together with the caption, "Me to everyone I tricked into thinking this was a love song," to which a user named Robin River would reply in the comments, "Waiting for the LAPD to get your for messing with a 13-year-old girl." Given the timing, you could hardly find a more obvious reference to Celeste, and it seems that after her return home, the rumors about their relationship were beginning to spread around her Lake Elsinore community. Also in February, David would post a mysterious photo on his Instagram story showing him with a girl with dark curly hair covering her face with a handbag. This photo, obviously now, made many people think that the girl was Celeste. In March 2024, users in David's Discord would once again begin to talk about his relationship status, with one fan confirming that he was indeed dating Celeste, who would have been merely 13 years old at this point, although this fact was likely not known by most of the people on the server. That same month, David would also drop the song My House Is Not a Home, where he would again touch on topics like heartbreak, while even seemingly apologizing to his family for the relationship that he had ended up in. Later that year, the song would be discussed on David's Discord as being dedicated to Celeste, while the fans were trying to figure out David's current relationship status at the time, as they would talk about not just Celeste, but also a girl they knew by the name on Discord, YayWoohoo7. On March the 19th, Celeste would go missing again, and her family would go to Facebook with new pleas for help. TMZ would later get their hands on security camera footage from a liquor and convenience store that Celeste frequented, likely capturing Celeste's last movements on the morning of the 19th before she disappeared. 10 days after Celeste's disappearance, David would drop the song Feel It, where he begs his love interest to commit to him, saying how he can't let her go away and how he wants a yes, not a maybe, and begs her not to leave him. But whether this song was mirroring David's real life or not, Celeste would seemingly return to home sometime in late March, only to run away again the following month, this becoming the last time she was officially reported as missing. However, in early June, Celeste's cousin would post a TikTok from a family gathering where a girl who looks a lot like her steps on camera for a short moment while seemingly saying goodbye to some older family members. Nevertheless, later that month, on June the 27th, Celeste would seemingly also be spotted with David's entourage at an event, as a girl who looks a lot like her can be seen going backstage with David's brother. The following month in July, David would drop the song There Goes My Baby, a song about letting someone go, which was released together with an eerie visualizer that portrays what looks like a young girl with long wavy hair rocking back and forth on a swing while the world underneath her burns. The character's similarities with Celeste would later not go unnoticed by fans, with one commenting how just seeing the silhouette gave them goosebumps, and the lyrics would include lines about her wasting his time and it feeling like somebody took his life, while a genius annotation would explain how David had introduced the song to his fans in a newsletter which explained that the song was about letting someone that you love go and understanding that you may have been the problem. In July, the Discord user YayWoohoo7, who has since deleted her account, posted a photo on David's Discord which showed their left hand with what appeared to be an engagement ring and a tattoo reading David in red ink. Around the same time, an Instagram account named Hello Kitty Life Girl, which would later be connected to Celeste, posted a similar photo to their Instagram stories, but this photo would have David himself in the picture. People on David's Discord likely didn't realize it at the time, but it would turn out that the user YayWoohoo7 was most likely not a new love interest of David as they thought, but rather a new account belonging to Celeste, who had seemingly just revealed to the world their engagement. On August the 15th, David himself would approach fans on Discord, telling them how he was in a song crisis. Most fans seemed speechless, not sure what to reply, as their idol who had exploded in popularity since first starting his own own community on Discord, was suddenly not only speaking with them directly, but seemingly asking them for their help. But one person had the answer ready, as a user named Ponzalo would simply respond with, "Drop the song about the missing girl, Celeste Rivas Hernandez." This question came seemingly out of nowhere, and it appears that either nobody else had any idea what the user was talking about, or these comments have since been deleted, but the comment would seemingly go unnoticed at the time. And this would be the last comment that Ponzalo ever wrote on the server that's still publicly visible for everyone, after having been a fairly frequent user before that, and even seemingly a big fan of David. In fact, it seems like Ponzalo might have been following David's life very closely, as about a month before his comment about Celeste, Ponzalo would suddenly ask the other fans what happened to David's girlfriend videos on TikTok, as Celeste had seemingly emptied her entire account too. It seems that whatever Ponzalo's background was, somehow they had put the full picture together, and now that they knew the truth, they weren't about to let it go, because already the following day, after first bringing up Celeste's full name, Ponzalo could be seen on Discord posting more about her, although it's not clear what server this was in, sharing very specific details about her, like when she had last returned home in March before disappearing again in April. In other screenshots that would appear later, Ponzalo would even go further, this time straight up telling everyone how he wanted to let them know that David was a PDF file. But Ponzalo may not have been the only one, because that same month, a user named Matthias Sandoval on YouTube would make a short but telling comment on the music video of David's smash hit Romantic Homicide, simply commenting Celeste's name together with a sad face emoji, but that comment and its timing would speak volumes, as clearly there were people out there who knew exactly what was going on and how serious the situation was. Meanwhile, in September, Celeste would actually seemingly return back home, at least for a visit, as TMZ would later release security camera footage of her arguing with some neighbors, showing a side of Celeste that people hadn't seen before, a young kid who was clearly not afraid to challenge people much older than her.
Let me talk real quick, okay? You gonna let me talk? I ain't gonna let you talk. No, you ain't gonna let me talk. Why you not gonna let me talk? You tripping. I ain't tripping. Nah, you tripping. How about you ain't tripping? You gonna let a woman talk? No, alright, I'm not gonna let your woman talk.
Why is she over here? Good.
Your little house, you don't even got a house.
Hey, bro.
You talking?
Hey. Yeah, ain't nobody black right here, homie. We're Southsiders right here, homie. We're Southsiders here. Get it right, homegirl. Shut up with your black talking. Shut up. You talking like a black girl with your black talking.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Ain't nobody black right here. What are you talking about? I said we're not black over here. Why are you calling us?
Also in September, David could be seen for the first time with the infamous shush tattoo on his right index finger, the very same finger where Celeste would also reportedly choose to place that very same tattoo, this notably being Celeste's birthday month. That same event where David was photographed with the new tattoo would also include a performance during which some interesting art was displayed in the background that seemingly portrayed David and a girl who once again looked a lot like Celeste growing old together. A few months later in November, a song titled I Never Needed You.wav was dropped on David's SoundCloud account. The atmospheric song ends with David singing how someone told him that they would love him to the day they die, but to David, they're already dead, before a female voice comes on, telling David that it's him who's constantly calling her, all while David's "You've Been Dead" line repeats over and over again on top of the girl's angry message, with the song eventually ending with the girl's last words, telling David that he has to figure out what he has going on. Later on, online sleuths would compare the female voice in the song to the voice of the alleged Celeste from David's late night stream, finding the two rather similar.
It's controversial of calling my phone. It's controversial of kids. You gotta figure whatever you got going on. Figure that out.
By December 2024, it was clear that Celeste's relationship with David had become an open secret in her Lake Elsinore community, as a TikTok user named Ethan M would post a video with photographic proof allegedly exposing David for paying kids in the neighborhood thousands of dollars to stay quiet about his relationship with a minor.
The artist got caught giving thousands of dollars to kids. Now, why did he do this? To hide his little secret of him dating a minor. Yup. And people coming, proof. Why the else would he randomly go unnoticed, no one knows about this, to meet kids, bring them canes, give them thousands of dollars? Why else would he do that? Why else would any celebrity do that? You know exactly why. And I'm not just guessing here. This is a picture from someone who knew the girl and they told me this story.
The location seen in the photo would seemingly be less than half a mile from the liquor store whose cameras had captured Celeste in March before her second last disappearance. However, at the time, only 2 people seemingly commented on the video, and neither took these claims seriously, even when Ethan attempted to explain things further. Only a few days after Ethan's video, David would drop the song Where'd It Go Wrong, the lead single from his album Withered, together with a haunting music video showing David dying in a woman's arms after she shoots him, while singing about ending a relationship with someone he doesn't belong with, as well as creepily confessing about not wanting to die and saying that they will find them in another life, and how he wishes he never met her, but he was in too deep to leave her at this point. The song then ends once again with a female voice who tells David that he's special.
You're special, David.
The themes in David's songs and visuals were certainly not coming any lighter, even with all of the mainstream fame that he was now getting. And in February 2025, he would drop the second single from his upcoming album, the song One More Dance, together with a chilling music video that showcases David's evil alter ego, Itami, who can be seen disposing of David's body by burying him. And once again, the music video would include shots of a girl who resembles Celeste with dark curly hair. The lyrics were equally creepy too, as David seemingly sings about shooting her love interest's brains out and describing it as a form of escape. In April, there would again be indirect signs of David and Celeste spending time together, as a handbag could be seen in the background of David's TikTok that seemed to match the handbag from an earlier picture where a girl believed to be Celeste had allegedly used it to hide her face. Later that month, David would finally drop his debut album Withered, where the battle between good David and his dark side Itami was playing a major role in the rollout. However, afterwards, people would also find numerous lyrics in the album that they thought might have been inspired by David's relationship with Celeste. In the song You Left Me First, he would sing about a girl loving him at his best while he was loving them at their worst, but she would still leave him first. The song Afterlife included chilling lyrics about David getting killed by his love interest but still loving them from the afterlife, while the song Ghost included eerie lyrics about someone else having David's girl now, but he still has her ghost. In the song Friend Again, David would open up about how he used to be someone's everything, but now she doesn't even answer for him, while the second verse would include now ominous mentions about him and his love interest now being older, saying that he still wants her. Most notably though, the Withered album included an interlude called Invisible String Theory, where David can be heard having a conversation with a girl who many would later become convinced was in fact Celeste. To celebrate the release of the album, David would do a 3-day weekend pop-up show series in collaboration with BandLab, which would begin on the album's release date, the 25th of April, with a meet and greet and an acoustic performance. During the show, as David was performing the song Afterlife, where he sings about loving someone even from the afterlife, he would begin to visibly cry after the second verse. The crying would get to the point that he had to stop singing for a moment, and after the song ended, he would appear to completely break down, before eventually gathering himself. This strange behavior would actually continue on the third day when he was performing in Houston, a concert watch party that was streamed live, during which he could be seen crying again while singing the very same song, making it very clear there was something deeply personal about those lyrics to him. People on Reddit would later write lengthy posts attempting to analyze the meaning of this song, arguing that the song was about him knowing that Celeste's love for him was fake, but he still kept it going by doing things like paying off her family, and about his plans or ideations of killing her. Meanwhile, in David's Discord, his fans were having interesting conversations, as one user would explain how they'd been having an uneasy feeling because they had missed an opportunity to help someone. The user would then explain how they had seen a possible underage girl at a restaurant together with an older man and sensed that this girl might have been trying to signal them about needing help. The user would keep on mentioning her until suddenly they would come back after seemingly doing some research and finding out that the girl was indeed a missing person, with the user then seemingly reporting her to the authorities. Meanwhile though, other users were getting annoyed about the topic, with one asking if they could talk about something else, and while another user would note back how this was important stuff, the sad irony would come to its culmination as the person would respond how the matter was certainly important, but bringing it to the David server was hilarious. Little could they have known just how much things would change in only a few months' time. In June, David would keep dropping new music, as he would release the song Always Love Together with Hyunjin in preparation for the start of his world tour, which would kick off in early August, taking him through over a dozen different cities in just 1 month, and where his fans would get to experience not just the music, but also David's broader artistic vision, as the shows would include a real casket that was brought to the venues, with attendees being encouraged to write messages to their lost loved ones and leave it in the coffin. This apparently was a coffin for his evil Itami alter ego, whose death the beginning of the tour seemingly symbolized. His social media presence from the tour would seemingly be in the same spirit, which would understandably later raise some questions, such as this creepy video from the 13th of August of David waving at something or someone in the middle of the night. In this chilling video, taken at a New Mexico hotel, right in between the long drive between David's Texas and Los Angeles homes, we would see David waving at the motel and then walking down the street, as well as shows candid footage of him filming himself in the mirror at an unknown location. Creepily, at one point during this video, a tow truck drives past the camera, and also halfway through, we see some very abrupt and out-of-place B-roll cutting from David's self-filmed DIY footage to what looks like a scene from a professional music video shoot, which once again featured a model that appeared to resemble Celeste. On the 7th of September 2025, it would have been Celeste's 15th birthday, but as we know now, she wouldn't be here to celebrate it, because the following day, as David was performing in Madison, Wisconsin, a haunting finding would be made in his Tesla back in Los Angeles.